What happens when a veteran journalist who has spent decades documenting India's democracy suddenly has to prove that he's a legitimate voter of this country? What happens when your name disappears from the voters list, you're denied your right to vote, and even your passport renewal is held back because of that deletion? Those are not hypothetical questions. They happen to former editor of the Telegraph, R. Rajagopal. His name was deleted during the special intensive revision in West Bengal over logical discrepancy. His appeal is still pending. Although his passport was finally issued on July 4th after widespread media attention and intervention by journalists and politicians, Rajgopal says his fight was never about his passport alone. Today we speak to R. Rajgopal about his personal experience, what the SIR process meant for an ordinary citizen, why his passport renewal was affected, and what his case tells us about due process, documentation, media, and the rights of millions who may not have the same public voice. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
And first, can you help us understand what was your experience like, especially after you got to know that your name is not there on the electoral roll in Bengal, West Bengal? What happened after that? What did it look like?
Yeah, so when my name, it's called mapping. I could not map my name in the 2002 list, neither could I find my father's name. That was the option. So they sent me to something called an under adjudication list. They put my name there. And then I thought it'll be fairly easy because the election commissioner had told the Supreme Court that 11 documents, they prescribed 11 documents. If any one of them can be submitted, these are regular identity documents. If you can provide any one of them, and then things should be okay. So I gave my matriculation certificate as it was one of the 11 certificates prescribed. But for some reason, I think it is for some reason called logical discrepancy. Could be a spelling mismatch because the Indians, whether or not standard is Indian spellings, the documents I later gave and this spelling, maybe my father's name, my address, something may not have matched. So they put me, probably because of it, because I don't know till now, the specific detail has not been told to me. I assume it is because of logical discrepancy. I've been deleted. My name has been deleted. And then a week before that or something, I had my biometrics were done for renewing my passport. This is a second renewal. The passport was first issued in the year 2005, my very first passport, from the very address in Calcutta where I'm speaking to now, the flat in Calcutta. The originally was issued from there. Then 10 years later, in 2015, it was renewed again from the same address after police verification, second police verification. And third time, there was a second renewal. I applied for it. Biometrics went off very smoothly. They did not ask there was no issue. But when the police verification came, police told me that because my name is deleted from SIR and unless it is restored in the voters list, they won't be able to clear my verification. So then on June 17th, the regional passport office informed me in writing that police adverse report has been received and this is the reason. So then it was more or less, because till then I had only verbal. There was another one police officer officially had written in on a piece of paper that this is the reason, but it was unsigned and there was no name and I don't know the officer's name. I was called to a place called Security Control Organization that is under the special branch of Calcutta Police. They wrote it. But that could not have been because it is not attributed. Whereas this was a proper formal printed letter. It was sent both by registered post and this thing that SIR was the reason. But then later, because once it became public and there was a lot of comments and other issues, and the Kerala's chief minister also wrote to the West Bengal chief minister that evening. One official passport and the passport regional passport of an official called me and asked me to send an email requesting a police re-verification. So that I think probably took place the next day. But I was not aware because at no point was I was asked to submit any fresh document or no question was asked of me, no interview was done of me. So as mysteriously as it was held back, it was in equally mysterious measure, it was renewed. And I got the passport this Saturday, I think, Saturday noon I got. So, as you rightly said, so the issue is there is still no clarity on policy. The government has not, neither the West Bengal government nor the central government has clearly said that SIR data can be used to withhold passport renewal. So that was my fight was not fight. I spoke out in public, not for my passport, but I hope there will be policy clarity. But coincidentally, just a few hours before our conversation, I saw and I could not get the details. The Jalpaiguri bench of the Calcutta High Court, they one petitioner approached the bench and said that his passport. I am not clear whether it is a renewal or a new passport. His passport was being held for because the name was deleted, and he wanted to go. He wants to go abroad because of medical reason. He has cited some gastroenteritis problem which needs to be treated abroad, but the Jalpaiguri bench of the High Court said that unless citizenship is settled, his also name was deleted by SR. Unless citizenship is settled, passport cannot be issued. That is what the court said. But the court also said that the court is aware that the number of pending cases before the appellate tribunal, according to the court calculation, it can take up to 21 years to clear.
And that's
So
only
the
for
court,
West Bengal that we are talking about.
yeah, only for one state. I'm talking one state. So the court has asked, requested the tribunals look into it whether they can look into this at the earliest. So that is where it stands now. So it is a very, very, very worrisome. If this is going to be applied, then in the next 10 years, 27 lakh, 33 lakh people in Bengal have applied. Only in Bengal they have applied, and within the next 10 years, I'm sure now most Indians will have passport. There will very few won't have a passport, so their passport will come up for renewal, and so there is a policy haste now. Because I think the issue will finally have to be clarified either by the government or the Supreme Court, or it has to be clarified in Parliament, because multiple states, multiple people in multiple states will be affected, I suppose. So we need a clarification.
So it sounds like since the beginning of the process, though you have done everything right, like you gave the two forms and all the documents that were required were submitted, but you still don't have clarity what that logical discrepancy was there in your case, and this is an assumption. Yeah.
See, the first that 2002 mapping, I'm not questioning it. It's quite possible because I was my wife and I we were born in Kerala actually, but then for job we came to Delhi, Bombay, Calcutta. So we were floating around, and it's quite possible that I had enrolled. See, that is not a crime. There's no it's not mandatory for India to be enrolled as voter. This is what I keep telling, because a lot of people think, oh, why didn't you enroll for? Now it's almost subconsciously people have come to accept that if you haven't enrolled yourself as a voter, something's wrong with you, So that whereas it is not mandatory in India to be a voter, that you have to vote, or the government should say it is mandatory. So far, they haven't said. As far as I know, they haven't said.
And also, your other family members were included in this current SIR list. Like your wife was there, and your brother.
Yeah, because her mother's face was there, her name was there, and because her mother's name was there, my son also could be included. My daughter did not apply; she was abroad.
So it's like even within the same family, what is happening with each member is a question itself when the SIR is happening. Because currently I'm based in Karnataka, where SIR processes just begin. So we're trying to understand what it also means. And what about the tribunal? You've also appealed regarding the logical discrepancy. Have you heard anything back in these weeks?
No.
What was that?
This was I think I applied for it on my name was deleted on March 27th. I filed the appeal on March 30th. Almost every single day, my day begins by checking the website, and I see pending there. The appeal is pending, and my night also ends. I check, and it's pending. So till today after I checked in the morning, it was showing as pending. There's no other communication. It just says pending. So see the process itself. I don't think there is any or at least we don't know what is the SOP. Some people are apparently being called for hearing. Some people are being cleared without. So my problem is because of the uncertainty. I can't even travel, because when I start out with somebody, suddenly they call, then I will have to rush back, and that's there, that problem.
Possible in the
so I'm living in a constant state of uncertainty. That is a.
And you've also mentioned in one of the articles that how you spend your days trying to get the document in the college that your mother taught, and trying to find pictures of your father who was in public life, who was active there, and it sounds like you're trying to prove their existence as citizen because your exclusion from electoral role. So, is this process indirectly becoming for ordinary citizens about trying to prove their existence and their parents' existence, or rather than just being a clearance of voter list?
Yeah, the documents I was looking for, there are two sets of documents. One, I will need it this definitely I will need it. The other one about my the first was my mother's. I needed my mother's matriculation certificate because I did trace my birth certificate finally in Kerala. Kerala digital, lot of states digital system is now improved, so you can search online. I found my birth certificate, but what I found was my name is not there because I was born before 1970. That is the year when the birth and deaths were made mandatory in India. I was born in 1968. So those days when kids are born, they are not named immediately. They'll take sometimes 28 days or something like. So my name was blank. That I could get it filled because I needed to upload my matriculation certificate. The Kerala government accepted and they changed my name. But the problem is my mother's name is given as Radha Bai, whereas her real name is Radha Devi. So it's just one surname Bai and Devi. Both are Indian names, but somebody may in 1968. It's a miracle that they registered this thing, and where there one word has gone wrong. But to change that, it's a Herculean task. I need to find out when my mother passed to school. Then I need to find the school register. The school, I have to give me a certificate. Then I have to get an air certificate. Then I have to request the school. Since my mother has passed away, she's no longer alive. I can't apply for the matriculation copy. The school, only school can have. So I have to inconvenience a lot of people to do that. So that process is still on, and I need that because unless I need that, I cannot say that I have a foolproof birth certificate. And I'm needing it only I'm now 57 years old. All these 57, I never needed it because my matriculations, people who were born before 1970, till now, matriculation certificate was considered my birth certificate also because the date of birth is very clearly given there. I studied in college on a government scholarship. I got a job. I married. I raised a family. I worked all this
Yeah,
without
you've
having
been
a birth
active in
certificate.
public life, like a
Yeah,
lot
and
of them
now
do.
after now I don't work anymore. Practically you can call me I'm retired, and now in my retirement I have to trace the origins of my family. My father's thing was because there was nothing to I could prove if the tribunal calls me and say that your father's name is not there. How do we take you? How do you say that you're making a bona fide statement? Then the only thing I can produce before them is some photograph of something that he was alive. It was 2002. He was a law-abiding citizen. He was a very committed citizen. So that actually, because of the publicity generator, I actually some people did send me actually in the year a month 2 months before he passed away, he was given an award in Kerala. So the awarding committee they sent me the citation and his picture also. So such a thing, those things have happened only because of the. But it is not a pleasant experience, to go around asking people,
Yeah.
did you know my father? Did you know that he existed? And for me, I could do it because of all this. I am privileged. That is a fact.
Right.
I had millions of others are not so. What will they do? And documentation is so sketchy in India earlier, and because we never made it. It's a good sub. It is also a sign of our plurality and of how liberal and how democratic we were. We were not chained to documents. That's a new phenomenon.
Yeah. So it sounds like if your name is not there in the SIR, then it goes back to you have to find every document that you can of your parents, grandparents, based on who you're connected to, and try to show everything that I was, my ancestors were in this country.
See, nobody told me to do that. I assume so because, and also I felt compelled to do so because I suddenly this is actually part of the psychological trauma here
Yeah.
because you suddenly ask yourself, who am I?
Yeah.
Am I an Indian or who are my parents? So I think it's also I don't think legally it is an if I give a citation or a picture, I don't think it has any
Yeah.
legal validity. But I need that to reassure myself that no, your father and mother did live. Your father and mother did exist. They were Indians. They were here. That you need that. Some people may find it hyperbole or dramatic, and I'm
Yeah.
making a drama out of it. But it's not. Only when you lose your you you are plunged in a state of uncertainty, civic uncertainty, you will know. Now it doesn't say. I actually, in fact, one newspaper here had reported soon after the SIR list was the one Union Minister apparently said that those who have been deleted are not Indian citizens.
Yeah.
So and now courts also suggesting that unless your name is restored, your citizenship is not decided. That leaves you actually in a no man's land, actually.
So, what is the psychological cost of the special intensive revision here? Because you also said in one of your interviews that you felt like a half citizen where you couldn't talk in a gathering. You didn't feel like talking, though you have somebody who has been vocal. What was the psychological cost of this whole exercise for you?
Yeah, For personally, it was quite traumatic. I was very outspoken, but then I realized that I don't have any stake in this election, because if I am not allowed to vote in the election, how can I analyze the election? How can I interpret the election? I might as well interpret Italian municipal elections or Spanish civic polls. But it's same to, because I have a role in either. Neither of them have a role. So I was at a gathering where before the election, veteran journalists of Calcutta, some 15 or 16 retired journalists of retired and serving senior journalists, they've gathered to discuss this, and I was also invited there. I went there, but I told them I won't speak because I don't feel that I'm part of this whole. So I will just listen. But they persuaded me to speak, and when I spoke, it was only about, unfortunately, I could speak only about my problem, saying that my name was deleted in my passport issue, which one journalist took offense, because I think she was right also. She pointed out that, see, this rejection is something millions of Indians have been facing for centuries, every waking hour. And you have lived in a glass house. By lamenting your personal this thing, you seem to be suggesting something unique has happened to you. It is not the case. But others I accept that completely. I accept that. But others in the audience, they also pointed out that, but that doesn't mean that what happened to me is right, or it cannot be opposed. You cannot speak on it. So all this. So you you find yourself in a constant fluid situation. You are neither there nor here. Should I go? So because of that, I did not. Some television channels had called me after the Bengal election results. So I said I don't want to speak on it, because what will I say? I didn't have any stake in it. I didn't have any role in it. So what will I comment on it? So.
Right. It makes you question about your citizenship and whether you belong in this
Exactly.
country or not.
Yeah, and whether you have any locus standi in commenting on public affairs and other things.
Sure. As far as we know, as the Supreme Court said, and please correct me if I'm understanding this wrong, that SIR is just meant as a voter list update, but it is not an evaluation on whether you're a citizenship or not. It still goes to the Ministry of Home Affairs. But right now, based on what you have said and your experience and a lot of other people's experience too, we understand that automatically everybody has just gone into that mode where SIR is being taken up as citizenship. Is that true? And why is that happening?
Yeah, see, the Supreme Court's order, it's a very nuanced order. And we cannot treat it as a black and white yes or no. See, as you said, the court did say that this can be used solely for the purpose of correcting the list. And if the Election Commission comes across any citizenship issues, they should send such names within 4 weeks to the Union Home Ministry. And as far as I know, that 4 weeks have passed, but I don't know. The problem is outside the court, the executive or the others, there's no agencies. They don't. Statutory election commission, they're not very transparent. We don't know whether such a list has been set. This is where I blame the media also. Media is also not encouraging enough. I don't know whether such a list has been set. Now why I said it's a nuanced thing. After having said this, the court also said that the election commission has the right to verify citizenship. That
Yes.
based on the list they can. So it's not these things have to be discussed, implemented, and enforced by people who know law, which I have no, I don't have that kind of experience. People who know law do this. Also, lawmakers. So that's what I said. This we cannot discuss this and settle this in a street corner meeting or a town hall meeting. Or that's what I said. The executive, the judiciary, and the legislature, either separately or they get together. And but the thing is, it remains that the clarity has to be brought, because there is no clarity. That is a problem now. Right now, you can interpret it the way it depends on the way the view of the person who is interpreting. So that is not a very good in a specific issue like this. It's good for a larger issue, for a but this doesn't involve any larger
Right.
legal issue. It's just a simple question. Data was collected for the specific purpose. Can it be used for other
Because
purpose
it's
without?
happening, like in your case, it happened with the passport, and
It happened
I
in
think
Michael by
some,
passport agency, and
yeah,
today the court, Jaipalguri bench of the High Court seems to be suggesting that. I haven't read the full details. That is the first the headline news suggests that unless citizenship is settled, passport cannot be issued, and SAR deletion looks like SAR deletion has brought citizenship under a cloud at least.
yeah.
Whether it can be rightly said that citizenship has been denied or not, we cannot say, but there is certainly an uncertainty.
So it can affect the welfare schemes or other government issued documents like ration card, Aadhaar card, any other documents that are specifically required by the government, from the government itself, that we get. It seems like it can affect that as well. Is that happening, or have you heard about this in West Bengal?
Yeah. But in Bengal, there the government has made a distinction. Those whose names were deleted outright, like people who are absent, dead,
Yeah,
duplication. I think it's called ASDD or ADDS, something like.
yeah,
Those people will not get. So I think around 60 lakh in Bengal. That is around 60 lakh. So some of them are legitimate deletions because people may have died, people are absent from here, or they have duplication. That you cannot excuse. That has to be deleted. But this 33 lakh pending up, whoever has filed an appeal, the government has said that until a decision is taken, they may continue to avail of this benefits. But what it means is, see, until it decided, like today the court said it can take 21 years. This technically somebody can be on tender hooks or on
yeah,
edge, which is not. It is not
possible.
a. Yeah, it's not. It's not a plausible situation. Also, I don't know whether, correct me if wrong, is it true that the Karnataka Chief Minister said that unless SIR, your name is there, welfare can be, your welfare thing can be in question? Is it true or
He
no? It's
meant
true.
it as a warning, is what we understand. Like
So
he
that
did, yeah,
more people will come and join.
yeah,
Okay, okay.
because he said it in that day. The Assam government's thing also had happened, that they said. So he
So
meant
it
it
can
as a
happen. So
warning that you
better
all,
come and do.
yeah.
Yeah,
He didn't
that is
mean
okay.
that it will be
Yeah, I
cancelled,
understand.
but
Yeah,
he
yeah,
said that. Yeah. And
yes.
again, coming to the media aspect, that since you've been in this industry for so long, and you also said this thing that you stopped reading mainstream media because it had little to do with you, especially with what happened in SIR. What does it mean for journalism in our country? Because SIR has happened in other states, it's happening in ongoing in other states as well, and we have seen lakhs and lakhs of deletion and the pending cases in the courts, and a lot of questions that you also mentioned, but nobody has any answers clearly. Everybody's just assuming and saying from their interpretations. How do you see the media's role, at least from the coverage that has happened until now? And what would it mean for ordinary people who have no clue?
Yeah, what pained me the most is one. My I see. I can't generalize. It depends on my conversations with a few, but some very senior journalists. The conversations I had, one I realized with utter shock that most of them have absolutely no
Yeah,
idea what SIR is, what it entails. They have absolutely no idea. Then I realized why it is so, and that actually a lot of things fell into place once I realized that, because they were not affected. They're simply not affected, and they were sure that if something happens to them, they know enough people, they can pull strings, and they will come. They took everything for granted. They take everything for granted. So what it means is, So I see mainstream. If well, I'm sure a lot of mainstream news editors will challenge me and say, no, no, we did carry editorials, we did carry columns, which is true. They did carry columns, but the thing is that columns, how many people will read? Other than journalists and some bureaucrats
Media
and some
students, yeah.
academics, people will not. And more important, newspapers. Okay, column is fine, but there is something very, very important. Newspaper has a obligation to its readers to ask questions and clarify things. For example, even in this SIR, like I heard that in Karnataka, logical discrepancy, the number is different from the number of
Yeah.
logical discrepancy in Bengal. In some Delhi, it is different. How can somebody go? This is we are one country. How can you have a discretion? So it means that the people are just going by discretion. How can this happen? So you need clarity on how did you reach this? How did you formulate this discretion? Then number two, about the passport, about welfare. They have to see till to this day. Say most of the mainstream newspapers treated my issue as an individual issue, as
Yeah.
some former editor getting this thing. And as soon as the government, the source, government didn't formally say, some police sources and others said that it will be done. They drop the story is over for
Right.
them.
Yeah.
But story is not over. It stands exactly where the day I made it public 2 weeks ago. And I have no evidence that any reporter has approached the External Affairs Ministry. Some people say they did ask, but if they asked and the spokesperson whose job is to speak refuses to speak, that itself is news. You should report that. Then people will know that obviously there is something. He is not as black and white as look like. It's not as innocent it looks like. The government doesn't want to bring clarity, but even that is not being reported. So this is exactly what I'm saying. Neither has the West Bengal government issued any clarification on this. So I am not saying reporter should ask about me. I am saying that since such a confusion arose, reporter, what about other people when they apply? Is this needed or not? It's a simple yes or no question. But if journalists have asked, they have not been replied to, and if they have been replied to or not replied to, neither case has been reported. So this is why I consider mainstream media a big disappointed, because I don't I don't feel like reading that.
Right. And also, there is a journalist and activist in Bangalore, Shiva Sundar. He has been critical and spreading awareness about SIR for a very long time now, ever since it started in Bihar. And we had an interview with him, and he said that it's affecting middle class too. And one example that he gave was, of course, of you as well. And since a lot of middle class people didn't know about the SIR process, and they were like, it's not affecting me, but it clearly does, especially when questions about passport come. He says that post the SIR, like once the final roles, at least in Karnataka, will be revealed, after that, the movement is actually going to begin, because then everything is going to be havoc. A lot of people might not have their names, and they don't know what to do. And we have seen that in West Bengal as well, and other states where it's happening. What do you think of it? Like, now is the middle class, especially after your experience, has everybody gotten serious about it? Okay, our documents are going to be impacted, and now started questioning how the process is going to happen. What do you make of it?
Yeah, some people have got in touch from Delhi and whether it's undergoing now, and asked me about they realized that their spelling is E has become A. Will it be a problem? And also I said, yeah, it will become a problem. But then I explained to them, actually, you can't do much about it now. But these documents, like if you're like my 57 years old and all that, to get it corrected, when it's a very long and tedious process. It takes a long time. So actually, the individual is helpless. So I don't know what people can do. It's really, I don't know. But the most important thing is they should fill forms. Even that in Delhi, one of my friends called from very high rise, very so-called affluent region. They said none of the people are there are interested because they said they never vote. So they don't want to fill up the form and all that. So then I said, no, you should tell them that if you don't have your name in SIR, you won't be allowed to shop in duty-free shops. Then immediately everybody will come and so these are the unfortunate problem of our country, because people are not bothered unless they are directly affected, and they somehow because this also even journalists called me and told me, after this became public, why didn't you let me know one phone call and I could have. They think one phone call and these things can be set right. Imagine normal citizen running pillar to post for months. My case was it had passed 100 days, and then there are journalists who lives in some fool's paradise who actually believe that one phone call and maybe they can set it right in their own case, but then there is something fundamentally wrong with our democracy. Then the courts and others should take very serious view of this. Some people actually can do things. One phone call they can get things done, which even courts even the tribunal it will take in 21 years to do. Some people, not just journalists, one industrialist also told me I can one phone call to my friend and I can get it done. So obviously it's a favor for which I will have to later repay a favor. All these issues are there. So in any case, this is not the way to do. Actually the SIR issue brings out everything that is wrong with our democracy. How our income disparity, our class problems, our old boys network, which thinks that some people can get everything done, but others are destined to suffer. In fact, when I suggested it was meant as a joke, but you can't take it as when I suggested that this will increase chance for whenever there is a policy confusion, it will increase chance for corruption because officials can say this, that. So this gentleman asked me, but isn't taking bribes the fundamental right of our officials? So it's a joke, supposed to be a joke, but actually we don't feel much wrong if somebody asks for a bribe, and in fact people consider you stupid if you don't know how to bribe and get the things done also.
So lastly, before we end, what would you say to the journalists, media in the States where SIR is ongoing right now? And what should be covered?
Yeah. See, one is don't be disappointed or disenchanted by people who say the media doesn't matter. Media really matters. My case is an example. Media really matters. And whenever anybody says media does not matter, then they have our Prime Minister himself have given evidence why media matters. In 2024 general election, I think he gave 80 interviews. Let us not discuss the quality of the interviews, but the thing is that the Prime Minister, even the Prime Minister felt it, he was compelled, he felt it, that he had to give. So media does matter. So don't think that journalism is over or journalism doesn't matter. It matters. Good journalism always matter. The thing is, you must ask people what are their problems, what do they need to know, what is your doubt, and in the SIR process, the most important thing is there are hundreds of doubts of people, normal people. So just as you say how you do graphics on how Messi scored a goal or Haaland scored a goal, you must devote the same effort in bringing out the questions that our ordinary people have about SIR, and if they have a problem, how it can be sorted out, who to approach, how to approach, it has to be explained as basic in a manner as possible, because it can be quite harrowing, the experience.
Thank you so much for your time, sir.